This is cool. They have these balls on string, and they're programmed to change shape. Here at the Science and Tech Museum. I walked around for about an hour and a half. I made a cup of coffee, surprisingly. I guess they know the adults will need it. There were a lot of kids when I first got here. It seems to have cleared out. I had a couple school groups. Little kids were cute. They all wanted to talk to me. Hello, hello. Now we get to a pyramid. Hey, we're on TV. That's me. I'm right there. I am a robot. I don't know if it's iPhone iOS 8's update or the new third-party app I'm using to record video, which lets me zoom and take photos while recording reduced quality videos, which is nice, finally. But the power consumption's way up on this phone now. My 5S, usually, I only recorded about an hour and a half and I'm down to 30% battery. Should be more like down to 40 maybe, or 50 at the most. It's power hungry, which is why I have this little baby. That's 6,000 milliamps right there. So I could charge my phone for 2 days over a weekend if I had to. Everybody in China has these. You see them plugged in at the end of the day, charging their phones on the metro. I guess I go out this way, exit. Here's a school group. They all went in to see the theater is what they did. It's a good museum. It'll be a big hit if you're 4 years old. Otherwise, I think you're better off, They had a few exhibits that had some models of Chinese topography. That's what I found most interesting. Since I'm a traveler, I want to learn about China and the topography and climate of different places and just get a general idea of places in China that I'm not sure what's there. These shows, I don't know if they have translations like they do at the Hong Kong IMAX theater there at the Space Museum, but I think this is the one I saw in Hong Kong, this Arctic 3D. Bad horse. So we're in the Olympic Village. Yesterday was so nice. I went to the Summer Palace, climbed up Longevity Hill. Today, not so great. So I'm going to hop on the subway and go see the Bird's Nest Stadium and then transfer to line 10 to go see the Great Bell Temple. China Science and Technology Museum. It's a good museum. I didn't get to spend as much time at Shanghai Science and Tech Museum as I would have liked. So sometimes these big museums in China, I don't know if it's the communist top-down approach, but they have like a huge building and then the exhibits inside it don't really match up and they seem ill-fitted, and it's, I think, from lack of an organic, bottom-up approach to museums usually have in the West, where it's someone's personal vision and the museum move from one space to another space. By the time you get a big museum like this, it's either been major renovation or a purpose-built building for specific exhibits in mind. So sometimes you go to museums. They did a pretty good job with this one, actually, better than the Shanghai Science and Tech's, you know, awkward layout and ill-fitted exhibits to the building, I'd say. Ain't no love in the heart of the city. So we're well north of town. I don't know, 7 kilometers at least. It's a straight shot up on line 8 for me this morning. Comes the street sweeper. They got nice willow trees. It's real nice up here to walk around. Beijing's a pretty filthy city. They cleaned it up for the Olympics. They shut down a lot of factories. I bought a new mask. You can get these any 7-Eleven. They're about 3 for 30 yen. So you, I think your best bet is getting a 99 filter. Those are harder to find, that filter out 99%. If you're here for 3 days, fine, breathe in the filthy air, it's not a problem. But I recommend you get one with a valve so they're more comfortable to wear when you're breathing out. This one's about as dirty after less than a week of wear. I got this last weekend and today's only Thursday. And I've been wearing it about half the, well, the old one I wore about half the time, and in 2 weeks it was about this dirty. This one I've worn most of the time when I'm outside, and it's getting about as dirty as the other one did in a week. It'll probably be more dirty. So this would all, particulate matter, would have gone into my lungs. Most of it would have probably made its way into my lungs. Some will get trapped by your mucous membranes, and that's why the Chinese, I think, are always hacking on the street. They have a bad habit of hacking and spitting, you know, coughing and spitting. And I think it's because they're all suffering from, you know, chronic respiratory illness from all the particulate matter. I noticed it. You don't notice it till about 2 weeks. If you're here for a couple of weeks and you're not wearing a mask, you'll really notice the amount of particulate matter in the air. Pretty gross, actually. They have a little tram that'll spin you around from the subway exit over by South Gate of Forest Park. It's about a 10-minute walk from here. And it'll zip you down to the Bird's Nest Stadium. They're trying hard to promote this area, I think. Kind of like what they did with Pudong in Shanghai. You know, as the modern part of the city, rather than tear down all the hutongs and build the modern city around the city center at Tiananmen Square. They've got this site that they can make a city of the future. And it is nice. It's scalable. You could walk if you had to from one between the 3 subway stops from would that be Olympic Green up to here at the Forest Park. So it's a nice space. Like if I was going to live here with the family, I'd probably want to live in this area. This is the Bird's Nest Stadium. I don't think they know what to do with that. I mean, it cost $450 million to build this thing. And what are you going to do with it afterwards, you know? Now, the aquatic center, the water cube, that's a little bit easier to deal with. They turned that into the National Aquatic Center, and I think Happy Magic Water Park is in there for kids and families. So it's a little easier to transition, you know, a water park. Everybody wants to swim laps and all that kind of stuff, you know. College teams or whatever. Dragon boat races, I don't know what they do. You know, make it into a nice, this is the dragon-shaped water system here. That's the head up there. So, but the central business district is out off line 6 going east of town, so they've got a decentralization thing going on now too. And that has its pluses and minuses, you know, decentralizing things in a modern city. The layout of East Asian cities, a lot of it goes back to Xi'an and Shanxi province with the palace at the center, which works well if you're the, you know, emperor, but if you're modern proletariat trying to get around town, that means all the metro systems have to circle around. Same thing in Tokyo, modeled after Xi'an. You got the palace in the center of the city, and all the trains and subway and roads ring around it. So instead of having a central depot in the center of the city for transferring, you've got this big, tourist attraction slash, not really used for official business, but somewhat used for official business, quasi type, the actual palace part's more ceremonial, tourist, blah, blah. Then they build right near it, like a more administrative area, blah, blah, cultural area, like Tiananmen Square, or same thing in Tokyo, they have the East Gardens are open, the Imperial Palace there, and just creates a big headache, even to go there as a tourist, all the security and restrictions and blah, blah, blah. It's like, just take a chunk of land like this. The problem is it's not historic for another 200 years. Then people want to come see the ruins of the bird's nest, which is what they call the National Stadium. I'm not sure what these sky trees are, super trees. I don't know what they're for. I don't know if you can go up there. They're office buildings or what? Anyway, it's kind of deserted around here. But the main strip up here has got a nice garden that you can walk around. A pedestrianized street with golf carts. Electricity bus, they call it. Electricity bus, or sometimes you see battery car for the elongated golf carts that will zip you around for, 10, 20 yuan to get around. So, redoing it, whatever it is. Some construction. They kind of remind me, they're much bigger than the super trees they had in Singapore at the Botanic Gardens there. Not the Botanic Gardens, but there's a nice garden over by that new space boat building. They had some sky tree stuff like that. But they were much smaller, I think. Na 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 na. There was a song playing at breakfast this morning. I gotta find out what it is. Na 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 na. I had it in my head all morning. Well, that coffee did me good. Yesterday I walked about 12 miles around the Summer Palace. I'm a little worn out. I only got about 6 hours of sleep. Do 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 do. It was such a pretty day yesterday. I had no choice. I had to go to the Summer Palace. All I need is one or two nice days again. I'd like to go for another hike on the Great Wall. I want to do the Mutianyu section. Mutianyu, and I'd like to get to the Forbidden City on a decent day. But I've been pushing it back to this weekend because we're going into Golden Week. And my feeling is we're getting further away from the foreign tourist season into late September and closer to the vacation for Golden Week, which is the first week in October. But everyone will leave this weekend who's leaving for 10 days, 7 to 10 days. And it's over by like the 7th, I think, of October or so. And they all go home to their home provinces. Like I have a friend, she's from Guangzhou. She'll go back to Guangdong province. And she'll leave Saturday morning. So the city will empty out of all the locals. Hopefully, it's a paradoxical thing. You'd think it'd become more busy in town. Here's one of the little carts, electricity car. There's that pagoda. I don't know if that's open to the public down there. This thing. But yeah, they all go back home. Like in Shanghai, when I was in Shanghai over the holiday for New Year, the city closes down for Lunar New Year, Chinese New Year, and everybody goes home to their home provinces, and yeah, about a week of the city being empty. It's a good time to do real touristy stuff. Like the big museums usually only close down for maybe like a day on Chinese New Year and maybe a half day the next day, and then they're open again. So, you know, if you're flying in for that period into a big city, you can actually get, you know, a day to sleep in and not feel like you're missing anything, and adjust your body clock, do some planning, and then have the place somewhat to yourself. That was actually surprisingly busy when I went to the Shanghai Museum after Lunar New Year. And then we'll see how Golden Week starts. I want to fly out on Monday, which would be the 30th of September. So I think I should be able to get bumped up to first class. Looks pretty good. I got first class on the way over here, which is real nice. I got a lot of work done. Saved me a good amount of time. It probably saved me a day of planning to work on the plane. Because, you know, when the flight gets in at like 2 in the afternoon, then your day's shot by the time you get in from the airport. They were an hour late picking me up. And, you know, I got to the hostel. It's like 3:30. It's like, I could go out, walk around the local hutong a little bit, and then go to sleep, you know, get a good night's sleep. Because no matter how flat those beds go on the plane, you just can't sleep very well on the plane. Too much shit going on, even on a long haul flight. You can get a nap for about 2-3 hours, I think, is the best you can hope for. Plus now with all that personal entertainment stuff on the plane, it's like an opportunity for me to catch up on all the movies, you know. So I was watching movies and doing work the whole plane ride here. Now I'm scheduled to go to Korea on October 1st. I gotta remember to push that back, moving to a new apartment in New York. Plus it's gonna be Golden Week there. I don't remember if I calculated that in or not, what day I'm supposed to arrive in New York. It might have been, or in Seoul, it might have been after Golden Week, but I'm not sure. So I think I'll have to push it back to like the 3rd to 7th, somewhere in there. And then my November's open anyway, so I can push things back. I think I'll take a cruise out of Florida in November, Fort Lauderdale. I gotta be down there anyway to establish residency. Ooh, that's not gonna work though, because I'll probably need my passport. And I'm gonna have to relinquish my passport so I can go get a new visa for China and also apply for India. But I won't be able to apply for India till I reestablish residency with the Florida driver's license. So, how should I do that? They need it for like 3 days at each place. I think I just walked by the metro stop, didn't I? Which is like over here. No, it's right here. This is where I came out. Little battery carts are right next to the metro stop here. This is exit C from South Park Forest. South Forest. South Gate of Olympic Forest Park, or just Forest Park they call it. South Gate of Forest Park's the name of the subway stop. So, they've dispensed with the Olympic Park, huh? I guess they'll always officially call it Beijing Olympic Park. There's some stuff to see in there if you have the time for it. It'd actually be rather nice to walk around on a day like this when it's not so blazing hot. So we're into September, late September, but it still gets pretty hot when the sun's out. I hate how traveling to temperate areas, how hot and cold it can be from one day to the next. It's really annoying, you know. That's why I always wear long pants and sleeves, so I don't mind sweating a little bit. I'll change my undergarments, you know, every day. But I have one outer shirt, two outer shirts that I can rotate, and I do laundry once a week, so they get washed once a week, the outer shirt. But as long as I'm not cold, I won't get sick. And I can just sweat a little bit, not so bad. Change your clothes every day and shower. They got a nice metro system here. Na 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 na. Ooh, I forgot. Ah, go 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 go. Woo, woo. I done it. Na na na. Wanted to get a reading here because I'm playing my little gamey game. Show you what I do here. This is what we do. Let me walk towards the center line anyway. Doesn't really matter. So I'm recording, right? Do I have a bearing line? Start recording the line so I know you're on officially. Now, airplane mode. Boom. Now I go underground. I keep it on this. And I'll drop down to the stop here to see the stadium. Bring it back up. And I've got a nice straight red line. That's how I recorded line 10 here, you know? It's my little trick. But it only works if you're going in a straight line on the subway. Otherwise you get a skewed line that doesn't really follow the subway. Even so, sometimes you have trouble, you know. But it still gives you a good guide map. Eventually, I'm sure, the open street maps will start to include the actual metro lines on them. It wouldn't take very much work for somebody to... Did I break it? I think I broke it by running up it. Clearly. Eventually someone will... This uses the open street map forum thing where people contribute to a open street thing. Eventually they'll include subway routes, not just the stops, so you can have a usable map for navigation and show the lines. I'm trying to decide what I want to do with all the information that I gathered. So I've seen just about everything there is to see now in Beijing in less than a month. And I even made some further field trips, and I recorded all the tracks. And I've started putting in the date and time things are open in the name and descriptions for these places. All it would take is for me to add some kind of functionality where you could tap the icon for each little museum and get an audio synopsis that I'd give you. And you wouldn't need a guidebook. And you'd have your navigation wrapped up. And you wouldn't have to do what I did on the plane. You wouldn't have to spend 30 hours of work or more trying to say, here's the museum on the map in the book. Now let me drop the pin for it here on the map I have here, you know. And it works off satellite, so as long as you have an unlocked phone that you can turn on, it doesn't matter if you buy a SIM card or not, or if you have a data package or not. You'll still be able to navigate your way for free with my app if I create one. I was thinking maybe I could turn it into a social networking site where other people can contribute, but then, you know, there's going to be all sorts of privacy issues, and I thought, well, you could record the track that you follow when you're doing your daily commute, right? And then businesses along your daily commute could advertise to you. But then I thought, oh, that's too similar to the business model of existing things like that's the charge machine. Here's the subway map, maybe. What's the one that gives you Groupon and all that stuff? So I don't know. Imagine the privacy concerns if you were posting your route of your, you know, daily commute and all that. Stalkers and all, I don't know. People, men would probably do it. I don't know that women would want to do it. So create a social network. But I thought it'd be cool to do that. And then you'd have this map-based physical social network. So much of the stupid social network, it's you already are friends with people you already know, which is really stupid. And then you really have no idea where those people are. You're just seeing some pictures of their cat and their kid's birthday or dumb stuff. It's not like tangible. So this app would be much more tangible, and people could create their own little routes and itineraries for you to follow. So imagine if you're getting directions from a friend on how to get to their house. They still have to friggin' tell you like it's 1980, take this stop and that stop and this stop and that stop. Imagine if they could just send you a track and say, here's the track to my house. Boom. This is the commute, you know? And you can do it with map apps, sure, but if you're in a foreign country, it's a little harder. Or if you're trying to follow a specific route that they're saying, well, follow this is my favorite route to go through this section of the neighborhood, and this is what you'll see along the way. And like they can add little audio clips and pictures, their own pictures to it. It'd be like a juiced up version of TripAdvisor, real-time following stuff, you know? I think it'd be pretty cool. It's like too much work for me. I don't give a shit. I had the idea for YouTube before YouTube, and I had the idea for Wikipedia before Wikipedia. And I remember arguing with professors and trying to recruit friends because I didn't have the technical knowledge, and people just didn't understand what I was talking about. They had no idea. And I said, screw it. I don't have the time. I'd rather enjoy my life. Someone else will think of it and do a better job than I ever did. So, but I would like to make $1 billion. I could handle maybe like 3 years to grow it big enough to sell to Facebook for $1 billion and check out, and I'd be cool with that. I wouldn't want to make it a lifelong pursuit though. This is in China that I'm not sure what's there. These shows, I don't know if they have translations like they do at the Hong Kong IMAX theater there at the Space Museum, but I think this is the one I saw in Hong Kong, this Arctic 3D. Bad horse. So we're in the Olympic Village. Yesterday was so nice. I went to the Summer Palace, climbed up Longevity Hill. Today, not so great. So I'm going to hop on the subway and go see the Bird's Nest Stadium, and then transfer to line 10 to go see the Great Bell Temple. China Science and Technology Museum. It's a good museum. I didn't get to spend as much time at Shanghai Science and Tech Museum as I would have liked. So sometimes these big museums in China, I don't know if it's the communist top-down approach, but they have like a huge building and then the exhibits inside it don't really match up, and they seem ill-fitted, and it's, I think, from lack of an organic, bottom-up approach to museums usually have in the West, where it's someone's personal vision, and the museum moved from one space to another space. By the time you get a big museum like this, it's either been a major renovation or a purpose-built building for specific exhibits in mind. So sometimes you go to museums. They did a pretty good job with this one, actually, better than Shanghai Science and Tech's, awkward layout and ill-fitted exhibits to the building, I'd say. Ain't no love in the heart. I'm right there. I am a robot. I don't know if it's iPhone iOS 8's update or the new third-party app I'm using to record video, which lets me zoom and take photos while recording reduced quality videos, which is nice, finally. But the power consumption's way up on this phone now. My 5S, usually, I only recorded about an hour and a half, and I'm down to 30% battery. This is cool. They have these balls on string, and they're programmed to change shape. Here at the Science and Tech Museum. I walked around for about an hour and a half. I made a cup of coffee, surprisingly. I guess they know the adults will need it. There were a lot of kids when I first got here. It seems to have cleared out. I had a couple school groups. Both kids were cute. They all wanted to talk to me. Hello, hello. Now we get to a pyramid. Hey, we're on TV. That's me. Should be more like down to 40 maybe, or 50 at the most. It's power hungry, which is why I have this little baby. That's 6,000 milliamps right there. So I could charge my phone for 2 days over a weekend if I had to. Everybody in China has these. You see them plugged in at the end of the day, charging their phones on the metro. I guess I go out this way, exit. Here's a school group. They all went in to see the theater is what they did. It's a good museum. It'll be a big hit if you're 4 years old. Otherwise, I think you're better off, They had a few exhibits that had some models of Chinese topography. That's what I found most interesting. Since I'm a traveler, I want to learn about China and the topography and climate of different places and just get a general idea of places.